All right. Well, I guess coming back again. Maybe. I don't know. Thing says it's streaming. We're going to stream the last little bit here and catch it up on YouTube, I suppose. So we don't talk enough about palliative care. Traditionally, we haven't until toward the end of life, and so that's why it kind of gets conflated with a lot of with hospice and thought of as an end of life thing. But you can see that end of life is just a small little bit of what palliative care is. And actually, I would argue much of what we do, particularly in COPD, is palliative. We're trying to remove the symptoms. We're not necessarily trying to cure it, because although one day that would be fantastic, we do not currently have a cure, so we can't really fix it. It's not like a broken bone that we can do curative care on, or a flu or something like that we can, well, I guess flu is a bad example, but it's not a disease that we can cure. What we can do is ease the symptoms to improve your quality of life, and that's kind of the essence of palliative care. That's what we want to try and do whenever we are helping people. So we've got to make sure that we're giving palliative care the respect it deserves, so that we can also respect when it comes time for hospice and end of life care. Speaking of hospice, one of those things that a lot of times people forget about is that this is a different thing. This is a great graphic from a oh, now that works. Okay. Hi, Susan. You're the first person that actually the comment decided to show up in the spot that it's supposed to show up. So that's good news. So in any event, we've got palliative care services have some things in common with hospice services, but we're trying to make people comfortable. We're trying to reduce stress, all that sort of thing. But they do have important differences, because we should be talking about palliation and palliative care much earlier than we generally do. With hospice services, those are generally considered, in their last 6 months of life or so. And of course, with COPD, sometimes it's hard to figure out. That's one of the going theories about why lung cancer folks get better access to palliative care stuff than people with COPD, because with lung cancer, you can kind of mark that progression a little bit more definitively or predictively than you can with COPD. It makes it easier to have access to this stuff and have these conversations. But in any event, whether you are interested in better palliative care, whether you're interested in hospice care, whether you just simply want to make sure that people know what you want at the end of your life, you've got to make sure that we're having these conversations. There are things that, again, I said in part one before the video crashed out, there are things nobody really wants to talk about, but they're absolutely critical, so that you don't end up in a spot where you're having things done to you instead of for you. One of my online idols, ZDoggMD, has a fantastic, thought-provoking, tear-provoking video called Ain't the Way to Die, where it kind of dramatizes exactly what happens to that in those cases where things are being done to a person that just wants everybody to let them go, and it's causing them more pain and more stress and more anxiety and more all of these things that they in turn still can't communicate, because they're unconscious or what have you. So please, please, please have these conversations, these crucial conversations with your family members, your caregivers, whoever it is that is going to be in charge of helping communicate your wishes at the end of your life, because that is the best way to make sure that you are a partner in your care, which is kind of the foundation of everything I do, or at least I push for. I want to make sure you're a partner in your care until the very end. So on that note, things maybe have frozen again. I don't know. No, that seems to be doing okay. Wouldn't be BreatheTV without some kind of tech issue. I only heard one complaint about the audio today, so maybe we're making some progress there. In any event, we do have, if anybody is still out there, happy to field some questions here before we start wrapping things up and get on into the next thing. I did see in one of the watch parties somewhere, there was a question about CBD oil. I don't know if I can get back to that, but person was asking what my thoughts are on CBD oil, and my thoughts is the jury's still out. This is one of those things that really sounds, frankly, too good to be true. There are a lot of claims going around out there that it's going to fix everything from, I saw one this morning at the gym where Rob Gronkowski, formerly of the Patriots, says it's helping him with chronic pain. Well, that's fantastic. That's good news. But is it going to help everybody? I don't know. These things pop up every now and then that they just seem too good to be true, and they generally are. So my thoughts are, if it's legal in your locality, then as far as I have seen, there are very few adverse effects and very low risk for adverse effects. It's worth a try if that's your jam. I would not expect much. Keep your expectations low, and decide whether it is worth continued investigation or investment on your part. That's my thoughts. We need more research. I did see that it does appear that they're going to be doing more with marijuana, cannabis research in general, which I think is a good thing, because I think we definitely need to have a conversation about that, about whether some of these risks outweigh the benefits. Otherwise, we do run the risk of getting into this snake oil kind of situation where we assume it's going to help with everything, and then we find out 10, 15 years later that it really doesn't. I think lung cancer and COPD is a good analogy there as well. We found that in many cases, cannabis does tend to have anti-cancer properties. We've also found that it tends to create a more severe COPD type lung damage. So maybe it's good for cancer, bad for COPD. We don't know those things until we ask the questions, and until very recently we as the medical community have been legally prohibited from even asking the questions. So I think we're going to find out a lot more in the next 5 years or so, definitely in the next 10 years, and then we'll see what happens. So I think that might be the only thing out there kind of crashing into the hangar here at the end of the show. We will be back in 2 weeks. I'm going to take some time and figure out what all is going on with some of the new tech issues. Hopefully we can make it a little bit more smooth. We are working on making this accessible in other locations, because we do know that people are not always fans of Facebook, so trying to make it more accessible on YouTube, trying to look at some other avenues out there. So make sure you're watching those. Make sure you come check us out if you are on Facebook at facebook.com/pages/COPD Navigator, groups/COPD Navigator. Find us on YouTube, find our website at copdnavigator.net, and let us know what you think about any of these things. Let us know if you have any ideas for future topics. And until then, hope everybody has a great afternoon. All those who are out there not feeling so good, I know we got a couple people who are having some health issues. Hope you recover very quickly. Know that our thoughts are with you. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you next time here on BreatheTV.